You know that feeling when you get trapped in an anxiety spiral? Well, today we're going to break down a single 10-second thought that can stop it dead in its tracks. I know it sounds way too simple, but stick with me because this is a genuine game changer.
Oh man, we have all been here, right? It's always in the middle of the night when one tiny little worry pops into your head, and then boom, you're suddenly convinced you're about to lose your job, all your friends secretly can't stand you, and that weird click in your jaw is definitely something fatal.
So, that whole experience, it actually has a name. It's an anxiety spiral. But here's the most important thing I want you to hear today. You are not powerless against it. You can absolutely learn to take back the controls. Okay, so to beat the spiral, we got to understand it first. Let's take a quick look at what's actually going on inside your head. It really all comes down to its faulty but, very well-meaning alarm system. Everyone, meet the amygdala. Just think of it as your brain's super ancient, super jumpy alarm system. I mean, this thing was wired back when we were running from very real, very sharp-toothed dangers. Its one and only job is to keep you alive by making you absolutely terrified of anything that could possibly go wrong.
And here is the big problem. Your amygdala, for all its good intentions, literally can't tell the difference between a real, life-or-death threat like a saber-toothed tiger and a modern stressor like an awkward text you sent 3 hours ago. To your brain, they can both trigger the exact same 5-alarm fire.
Okay, so now that we get the problem, let's get to the good stuff, the solution. This brings us right to the core tool we're talking about today, the 10-second question.
All right, this is the main event. What is this simple little thought that can interrupt such a powerful, ancient piece of your brain's chemistry? Here it is. The moment you feel that spiral starting to churn, you just pause, you take a breath, and you ask yourself this: is this thought helping me or is it just hurting me? That's it. This simple question forces your brain to do something amazing. It shifts you from being inside the tornado to observing the tornado from a safe distance. See, what this question does is it creates this tiny but incredibly powerful gap between the trigger, that first anxious thought, and your usual automatic spiraling response. It's like hitting the pause button. And in that little pause, in that gap, you get your power back. You get to choose what happens next instead of just being taken for a ride. So that question is your first line of defense, it's your way in, and now we can build more habits around it. The next three are all about what to do in that gap you've just created. Let's call them ground, check, and confront. Okay, when your mind is off time traveling to some horrible imaginary future, your job is to drag it back to the present moment. That's what a grounding anchor does. Just focus on one physical thing. What do your feet feel like on the floor right now? What's the texture of your sleeve? Your brain literally cannot maintain a high-speed anxiety spiral while it's also trying to focus on what your body is feeling right now. Next up is the evidence check. When an anxious thought hits, your brain treats it like it's 100% fact. So this habit is about you becoming a detective and saying, hold on a second, where's the proof? So for instance, the feeling is, my friends secretly hate me. But what's the cold, hard evidence? Well, they haven't texted back yet. That's it. By challenging the feeling to show you the facts, you start to see the difference between what your brain is speculating and what is actually true. And once you do that, the anxiety starts to lose its grip. All right, this next one sounds a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie, but it is so effective. Instead of letting your brain torture you with this vague, shapeless dread, you're gonna turn around and look it right in the eye. So here's how you do it. You ask, okay, brain, what is actually the worst thing that could happen here? And you get specific, you define it. Then you ask the most important follow-up question, could I handle that? And you know what? Almost every single time, the honest answer is yes. It would be tough, maybe even awful, but you would handle it. You would survive. And this takes away anxiety's favorite weapon, the terrifying, undefined unknown. Okay, we've arrived at the final, and I would say the most important habit. This is the one that makes everything else we've talked about really stick. Think of it as the mindset that powers all the other tools. Without it, they're really just temporary fixes. When you're in that spiral, the first instinct for so many of us is to attack ourselves. Ugh, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just stop this? But the alternative, the real solution, is self-compassion. It's just a little shift in your inner voice from what's wrong with me to, wow, this is really hard.
My brain is just trying to protect me. It's okay. That shift, it's revolutionary.
And this is the core truth of it all. Just let this one sink in for a second. You cannot hate yourself into healing. You can't shame yourself into feeling peaceful. Beating yourself up for being anxious, that's like pouring gasoline on a fire. The only way forward, the only sustainable way, is with a little bit of kindness.
So, let's pull all of this together. You're not just walking away with one cool trick. You now have a complete toolkit to manage these moments whenever they pop up.
Here it is, your whole toolkit. You've got the 10-second thought to interrupt the pattern, the grounding anchor to pull you back to the present moment, the evidence check to separate fear from fact, the worst-case check to take the power away from the unknown, and holding it all together, the foundation, self-compassion.
This really is a huge shift. You now have everything you need to start working with your brain's alarm system, instead of feeling like you're constantly at war with it. And that brings us right to the end. The power is officially in your hands now. The next time you feel that familiar tug of a spiral beginning, you're going to be ready for it. So, my question for you is, which tool will you reach for first?